All right, let's talk about the air fryer. I mean, it's pretty much become the superhero of every modern kitchen, right? It promises that amazing crispy fried texture we're all after, but with way less oil, fewer calories, and honestly, a lot less guilt. It really feels like the perfect health hack. But the science behind it, well, that tells a much more complicated and kind of fascinating story. So chances are you're using your air fryer a few times a week thinking you're making a great, healthy choice for yourself. And you probably are. But here's the paradox we're going to get into. What is the way you're using it? Just a simple little mistake you don't even realize you're making could be creating some pretty harmful chemicals in your food. That's the big question we're tackling today.
First off, let's just get this out of the way. The reason we all bought these machines in the first place, it's totally valid. This whole healthy frying dream isn't just some marketing gimmick. It's based on real science, and these things are absolutely brilliant at cutting down fat.
I mean, just look at this number from an independent lab test. They put air-fried chicken up against deep-fried chicken, and the air-fried version had a whopping 55% less trans fat. For your heart health, that is a huge win. And it's not just trans fat. You know, air fryers work by blasting superheated air all around your food, and that's what creates that awesome crispy texture with hardly any oil. This whole method can slash the total fat content by up to 80%. It's really no wonder that something like 60% of all homes in the US have one of these things sitting on the counter. So far, so good, but this is where our story takes a sharp turn. So, while we were all laser focused on cutting fat, a totally different chemical issue was kind of quietly popping up, all thanks to the high heat from our favorite appliance. Get ready for a bit of a chemical surprise here. The chemical is called acrylamide. Now, this stuff is a compound that naturally forms in starchy foods. Think potatoes, bread, things like that. Anytime they're cooked at a high temperature. Baking, roasting, frying, it's there. And here's the kicker. The International Agency for Research on Cancer, the IARC, classifies it as a probable human carcinogen. So you'd think the healthier air fryer would make less of this stuff, right? I mean, that makes sense. Well, a lab test got a result that is just shocking. When they tested homemade fries, the deep-fried ones had less than 10 micrograms of acrylamide. Okay, but the air-fried ones? 1,400. No, that is not a typo. That is a huge, totally confusing spike. How is that even possible? And this right here is the air fryer paradox. How can it be better and also worse at the exact same time? Well, the answer isn't really about the machine itself. It's all about how we use it. So let's solve this thing. If you start digging into the research, it just seems to completely contradict itself. You've got some studies saying, hey, air frying is great. It can slash acrylamide by up to 90% compared to deep frying. But then you see other reports saying that air fryers can actually churn out 30 to 40% more acrylamide. They can't both be right. Or can they? Well, yeah, they can. And this graph explains why perfectly. A 2024 study actually measured the cooking temperatures and found that while the deep fryer oil stayed pretty stable around 190 degrees Celsius, the air inside the air fryer shot up to almost 230 degrees. Whoa. That intense, dry heat is the absolute perfect storm for creating acrylamide. So the real culprit here isn't the appliance, it's the extreme heat. You know, as one expert put it, it really just boils down to three things: how long you cook your food, how hot you cook it, and how you prep it before it even goes in. And the really good news? All three of those are completely under your control. Okay, let's circle back to that crazy 1,400 microgram result. What happened there? Well, the person cooking those fries cranked their air fryer up to 200 degrees Celsius and left them in for 14 minutes, probably trying to get that perfect extra crunch. But most manufacturers actually recommend cooking fresh potatoes at 180 degrees or even a little lower. See, the problem wasn't the air fryer itself. It was just turning the heat up way too high for way too long. Okay, so now that we know what the problem is, let's get straight to the solution. Welcome to your healthy air frying playbook. Here are 4 simple, science-backed hacks that let you get all the awesome benefits of your air fryer while dodging the risks. First, for starchy stuff, a simple prep step: soak first. Second, and this one is the most important, control your temp. Like we just saw, don't just blast it on high. For starchy foods, keep it at or below 180 degrees Celsius. Third, a really cool trick for meats and fish: add fresh herbs. And fourth, something a lot of us forget: use a good oil. Just a light spritz of a high smoke point oil like avocado oil stops things from burning and actually helps you absorb vitamins.
So let's break down two of the most surprising of these hacks.
So, hack number one is incredibly easy. For things like fresh cut potatoes, just let them soak in a bowl of water for about 10 minutes before you cook them. This washes away some of the surface starches and sugars, which are basically the building blocks for acrylamide. And studies show this simple little pre-soak helps lower acrylamide no matter which way you cook them.
And now for a really cool one, the herb protection hack. So when you cook meats or fish at high temps, another group of compounds can form called cholesterol oxidation products, or COPs for short. But a study on air-fried sardines found that just by adding some fresh parsley or chives before cooking, it acted like a natural antioxidant, and it significantly reduced how many of these harmful COPs formed. How neat is that?
Okay, so we've cracked the acrylamide paradox, but what about those other little worries you might have heard about? Like the fumes from cooking or the safety of that nonstick basket? Let's get some clear answers. And speaking of fumes, the air fryer delivers a massive, unexpected win here. Scientists actually measured the indoor air pollution from different ways of cooking. Pan frying? That produced over 92 micrograms of particulate matter. But the air fryer? Just zero point 0.6. It was so low they could barely tell the difference between it and the normal air in the room. So when it comes to keeping your kitchen air clean, the air fryer is, hands down, the champion.
Now, let's talk about the nonstick coating. A lot of people worry about those forever chemicals, or PFAS. The main one people were concerned about, PFOA, actually hasn't been used in Teflon for years. Research on other similar compounds is still going on, but health experts say the risk is mostly tied to really, really high temperatures, like way higher than you'd ever normally cook at.
But look, if you're still worried and you just want to play it extra safe, the fix is super simple. You can just choose an air fryer that has a ceramic or a stainless steel basket. They're great alternatives, and they're both really safe and durable.
So here's the real takeaway. The air fryer itself isn't toxic. It's a powerful kitchen tool, and that power is truly in your hands. The real question isn't whether your air fryer is good or bad, it's whether you're using it in the smartest way. The power to avoid that chemical trap and unlock all those health benefits, it's all yours. So what do you think? Will you be turning down the heat next time?